everyone, this is Maki. The second episode of G Gundam's new story英雄変生 has been released. The first episode showed the meeting between Domon's brother Kyoji and Neo Germany's Schwartz brother. In the second episode, we get to see the meeting between Master Asia and Domon. What kind of meeting could they have had? I'll be sure to keep in mind that we're diving deep into story spoilers, especially since this novel may not be available outside of Japan. I'll continue to give all the details for those who may not have access to a translated version. The opening scene takes place in the space colony of Neo Japan. Major Lube and Dr. Mikamura are monitoring radar signals related to the Dark Gundam. However, the Dark Gundam suddenly disappears from the radar. Dr. Mikamura speculates that the Dark Gundam may be entering its second phase. Although much remains unknown about the Dark Gundam, they analyze the data left by Dr. Kashu to predict its next move. Ulube states we must prevent the Dark Gundam from evolving into its second phase. The scene then cuts to Domon and Rains at Neo Japan's supply base. Rain looks at the ruined city of Kyoto and feels a deep sadness. She gazes at the deserted streets left behind after the culturally significant buildings were transported to the colony. She grieves for the damage humans have done to Earth's environment. Still, Rain says I wish I could have visited this historic city at a time when there was no Gundam fight. Domon replies in his usual blunt manner, so you wanted to come here by yourself for fun. Rain gets a little irritated by Domon's insensitive remark. When Rain arrives at the Neo Japan supply depot, she begins to inspect the stored supplies. She discovers not only food, but also weapons that could be used in the Gundam fight. The weapons stored as Neo Japan's supplies include a wide variety of swords, spears, and whips. Rain remarks with so many different weapons, we might be able to power up the Shining Gundam. However, Domon doesn't show much interest in the weapons. Domon starts talking about the martial arts he learned from Master Asia. He explains that Master Asia's martial arts are mainly focused on fighting without weapons. While he has studied weapon-based martial arts as part of his basic training, the core of Master Asia's teachings is about using one's fists in combat. Domon recalls that he studied the use of swords as part of his training. When he received the Shining Gundam, Domon initially planned to enter the tournament without any weapons. However, Major Lube repeatedly demanded that Domon arm the Shining Gundam. Finally, Domon agreed to Lube's request and equipped the Shining Gundam with a beam sword. After explaining the nature of his martial arts to Rain, Domon begins to reminisce about his first encounter with Master Asia. When Domon was young, his father Drive Koshu and his brother Kyoji traveled to the Guyana Highlands, with Domon accompanying them. The scene shifts to the Neo Japan colony in the past. One day, a young Rain visits Domon's house. She tries to invite Domon to pray, but Domon's mother tells Rain that Domon are not around. Domon's mother tells him that the family isn't at home. They've already left for Earth. Domon became Master Asia's apprentice during this trip and didn't meet Rain again until the Gundam fight. The scene returns to the Guyana Highlands of the past. Dr. Kashu was on his way to a field research facility there, accompanied by a local guide familiar with the area. The guide spoke to Drive Koshu about the security of the Guyana Highlands. It was a naturally rich and remote place, not normally visited by many people. However, rumors of hidden treasure in the region had spread, attracting thieves who began to visit. The guide mentioned that the thieves were after a pearl left behind by a legendary martial artist. During their conversation, the guide suddenly stopped Drive Koshu and the group. He walked off into the bushes alone and soon emerged carrying two unconscious men. The guide explained that these men were the thieves who had recently been disturbing the Guyana Highlands. Drive Koshu asked if they are looking for the treasure of the legendary martial artist. Why are they attacking travelers? The guide replied, they are after the treasure I carry. With that, the guide stripped off his clothes and revealed himself to be none other than Master Asia. Master Asia apologizes to Drive Koshu. It seems that my return to the Guyana Highlands coincided with your visit. I was afraid that you might become involved in the attempts to rob me. So I disguised myself as a guide, thinking it would help to avoid attracting the attention of the thieves. However, it seems that my presence has already been revealed to the enemy. Before they realize it, Master Asia, Drive Koshu, and the others are surrounded by armed thieves. Master Asia turns to Drive Koshu and says, I will see to your safety. Please do not move from this place. With these words, Master Asia rushes towards the thieves. Kyoji and Domon watch in amazement. In no time, Master Asia easily defeats the large group of armed thieves. The leader of the thieves then tries to take Domon hostage, but just as the leader aims his sword at Domon, something strange happens. A piece of cloth wraps around the leader's sword, disarming him, and the sword ends up in Master Asia's hand. The startled leader is then knocked out by a single blow from Master Asia. Holding Domon in his arms, Master Asia gently asks, are you all right? Were you scared? Domon, still a little shaken, replies, I'm fine. Master Asia smiles kindly and says that's good to hear. The scene switches back to the present where Domon and Rain are talking. Rain is amazed by the story of Master Asia using a cloth to defeat the thieves. Domon explains he channels his power into the cloth and uses it as an extension of his own punch. Rain, curious, asks, isn't that the same as using the cloth as a weapon? Domon replies, no, it's a technique where the cloth becomes part of his body. The scene then moves back in time to the Guyana Highlands. Drive Koshu says Domon has expressed a desire to become Master Asia's apprentice. Master Asia tells Drive Koshu, in fact, I had hoped to take him as my apprentice as well. Seeing Drive Koshu's surprise, Master Asia adds, of course, only if you agree. But Domon may have more potential as a martial artist than you think. Drive Koshu and Kyoji were both grateful for Master Asia's incredible demonstration of martial arts. Meanwhile, Domon enthusiastically demonstrated Master Asia's actions to his family, explaining each move in detail with lively gestures. Master Asia was also surprised to see Domon analyzing and imitating his techniques so closely. Master Asia says please take your time to think about it. But there's no doubt that he has extraordinary talent. The conversation shifts to the purpose of Drive Koshu's journey. Drive Koshu asks Master Asia, what do you think of the nature here in the Guyana Highlands? Master Asia seems a little puzzled by the vague question. Drive Koshu begins to talk about nature. The Guyana Highlands are one of the few places on Earth where nature still thrives. Humanity has continued to pollute the planet. We have built space colonies, and the wealthy have fled into space. Those left behind are forced to live on a polluted Earth. I believe it's my responsibility to solve this problem. Master Asia could sense the anger in Drive Koshu's words. He spoke in a voice of frustration. I have discovered a way to restore the natural environment and combat pollution. I call it the ultimate three theory: self-repair, self-evolution, and self-regeneration. By giving the Earth these three abilities, we can revive its natural environment. Drive Koshu's expression softens and he smiles gently. Master Asia, now also smiling, agrees with the theory. This is a remarkable concept. The Guyana Highlands are also a precious home for my martial arts. I look forward to seeing your theory come to fruition. Drive Koshu and Master Asia share a firm handshake, united in their purpose. Kyoji, watching them, smiles as well. And so the second episode comes to an end. Some secrets about the origin of the Dark Gundam as the ultimate Gundam have been revealed. It seems that Dr. Koshu's original concept was to give the Earth itself the abilities of self-repair, self-evolution, and self-regeneration. In other words, the ultimate Gundam mobile fighter may have been a prototype designed to test Drive Koshu's theories. By presenting the project under the guise of creating the most powerful mobile fighter, Dr. Koshu was able to secure government funding for his research. Through Gundam Fight, he was able to test and refine the technology. Ultimately, his plan was to use this perfect technology to regenerate Earth's environment. If New Japan wins the Gundam Fight and secures global leadership, Drive Koshu's Earth environmental restoration plan could be smoothly implemented. This plan is also in line with the traditional element of Gundam history. Mobile suits called Gundams are experimental units. In this story, we also learn for the first time how Master Asia became aware of the technology of the ultimate Gundam. What kind of stories will unfold from here? I'm really looking forward to finding out. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next episode.